record. We just want to make sure all the connections are going fine. You can find us on Facebook as well as on X, as well as on YouTube. Running through the connections. Our Facebook connection is up and running. Our X connection is up and running. Let's see what else. We're not doing Instagram today, and we are waiting for our YouTube connection, and that's it. So we are all good. Let's get going here, folks. There's the quick agenda. We're going to talk about last week's football games. Sheba's going to run over that. I actually did write down what he was predicting what the scores were, but I left that sitting at home because I'm at 79 West in Pittsburgh for this live stream. We'll also talk about the games that are coming up. There's couple interesting games coming up. Power rankings, of course. Let's see who's 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the Chatham County High School among the teams. Volleyball update, soccer update, field track. Then, of course, today is the day that the Chatham News and Record comes up. Go out there and get yourself a copy, and we'll go into probably the favorite segment for everybody is Asheebo's Athlete of the Week, and then we'll talk about where we're going to be over the next few days because there's a whole bunch of sports going on in Chatham County. Let me get rid of the agenda. And Asheebo, let's start off with last week's football games. What you got to tell folks? And if you don't mind, since I didn't write down the prediction of the scores, let us know how you did on the score predictions.
Yeah, so last week with football, I think we start with biggest game we had in the county with Jordan Matthews and Chatham Central. A game, we thought could be close. I think I predicted it to be a closer score, but I was far from right on that one because Jordan Matthews came in, dominated the game from the beginning, and won that one 48-6. And yeah, just looking at the stats and watching the game, I mean, Jordan Matthews led by, of course, the quarterback in Kamari Hadley and the running back in Jakari Blue. Offensively, Blue had over 100 yards rushing. Kamari had 84. And then just on top of that, Kamari threw 5 touchdown passes as well. And a lot of those were just quick wide receiver screens. They got to Nola Mitchell, Namir Wiley, and some of the other guys to get some big yards. And, of course, some big plays for touchdowns. So, yeah, Nola Mitchell, 5 receptions, 119 yards receiving for him. Like we said, he had 3 scores, 1 on the long run on the receiver screen. And then twice, Hadley hit him in the corner of the end zone, making a good read. And just great execution there from Jordan Matthews. So, yeah, like I said, we thought Central, just given how they've improved from last season, what they showed in week 1, I thought their offense was going to be a little bit more explosive in that game. But Jordan Matthews' defense just did a really good job of getting in the backfield, dominating the line of scrimmage, and just really disrupting what Brooks Albright and his receivers were trying to do in that game. So, yeah, that was summary of that one. And then Seaforth, they hosted Southeast Alamance just further up the road in Chatham County. We knew Southeast Alamance was a really good team, and they just came in and pretty much did everything they wanted to do offensively in that first half. They had a 28-0 lead by halftime. And once again, I think I went back and watched a little bit of that film. Seaforth just once again just couldn't execute those drives, so they did get it deep in Southeast Alamance territory because I think if they score a couple of those drives, it might be a closer game in the first half or just not as bad as a score. And they actually did get some scores at the end, though. Of course, they lost that one 41-12, like we said. So, summary of that as well. Southeast Alamance just a better team overall. Quarterback went 11 for 13 with 156 yards, 2 touchdowns. Running back DJ Callis, he had 89 rushing yards and the score. They rushed for 126 yards as a team. A lot of those drives they had, even though the numbers don't look spectacular, were deep in C4 territory. So that's just really how dominant that one went for Southeast Alamance. And, of course, Thursday night last week, I was there for Northwood hosting Asheboro. That one just, once again, another dominant win for Asheboro, second one for them this season. And in that one, Dallas Brenton, the quarterback, just ran all over Northwood. I think he had over 100 close to 200 yards. I think it was 193 yards on 11 carries in the first half, multiple touchdowns, long runs. Just not the best night for Northwood. Now they showed some flashes of some good things offensively, but just once again struggled to put on a consistent run game which should really help this team out because we know they might struggle a little bit in the pass game with a whole bunch of new receivers and those guys with Grayson Cox, uh, Nick Armstrong, Willie Boynton. They're still trying to figure out that chemistry. And Rajay Torres, he's holding a lot of the weight on the offense as well when it comes to the receiving game. So yeah, it's just not a good night for Northwood. And yeah, next week, I mean tomorrow, we'll have a lot of good matchups as well. We have Seaforth going to Princeton to play them. Princeton's 1-1 on the year, and I think Princeton is coming off of a win. No, they lost to East Duplin last week, 42-20. So they'll be looking for a bounce back game. C4 is still looking for their first win of the season. Northwood is going to be hosting Bartlett Yancey, former Mid Carolina 1A, 2A conference opponent. So someone they're familiar with, someone closer to their level, because Northwood has been playing some really tough competition to start the year, of course, with two 6A teams on their schedule. So we'll see how they can do against some more even competition, a team that they're familiar with, and see if they can kind of improve and finally bounce back and get a win this season. And then Chatham Central, they're playing East Columbus at home, team they beat last year. So should be a pretty good look for Chatham Central to see if they can bounce back from last week's loss. Just learn some things, learn from their mistakes last week. Like I said, offensively, they just couldn't get anything working up front, which of course led to breakdowns in the backfield. Of course, also to the snaps going over Brooks Albright's head, leading to loss of yards for big losses. That really hurt them in that game against Jordan Matthews as well. So if they can just clean up those mistakes, I think they'll should come out victorious tomorrow night against East Columbus, a team that's 0-2 this season. And then Jordan Matthews is hosting North Stokes. Jordan Matthews 2-0 for the first time since 2013, and North Stokes 0-2. Once again, another team that's not very good. I like Jordan Matthews' chances in this one, so I think Jordan Matthews has a good chance of going 3-0 for the first time since 2011. So, like I said, we should have some interesting matchups. Maybe a couple of county teams should get some wins tomorrow night, and or at least show some improvement before next week, because we have another big one next week as well, and we'll talk about that more once we get there. But yeah, it's just a summary of where we are with football going into week 3.
All right. Are you going to give us any predictions on the scores for each one of these 4 games coming up tomorrow?
Yeah, so tomorrow, got the score predictions. I'm saying them right here, but they're also in the paper on our week 2 recap and week 3 preview in the Chatham News and Record. But for tomorrow, I got Jordan Matthews winning big against North Stokes again, 42-12. Just more on that. I think Jordan Matthews is a team that's improving week by week. I know a lot of people might say, "Oh, they haven't really played anybody," considering their record, but as you can see with the scores and what they put on the field, they have been improving. 20-15 against Carborough, a team that's not very good, but then you go against Central, who like a team that they've been neck and neck with in the past couple of years, even lost to in recent years as well. They come out and beat them pretty badly on their home field. So I think Jordan Matthews is going to continue to improve this week and get another big win. Chatham Central, like we said, I think a team they beat last year, I think they're going to come into this game with a lot of confidence. I think they're going to Coach Darren Little and his coaching staff is going to do a really good job of making sure they learn from those mistakes and try to go down with the mental errors, the bad snaps, the penalties, and things like that. So I think Chatham Central gets a pretty good win at home tomorrow night, 27-12. And in Princeton and Seaforth, I think Seaforth does play better defensively tomorrow night. Southeast Alamance is just a really good team. Princeton, I think they're a pretty good opponent as well, maybe closer to Seaforth's level. But I still don't see the offense really improving drastically from last week to this week. Just haven't seen it yet. So I do have Seaforth falling in this one in a close one, 21-14. And then Northwood and Bartlett Yancey, with Northwood playing a team that they're familiar with, playing a team that they've beaten in the past, just blown out recently last year. And I know they don't have the same players as they did last year, but I still believe in guys like Grayson Cox, Robert Tripp, Rajay Torres, Mikel Wilson, those guys that have been here, seen the wins of the years prior, and have that experience as well to come in and still make some plays against a team like Bartley Yancey and find a way to win this game. I think it's going to be a close one. I think it could go either way, but I'm leaning with Northwood in this one. They're going to be at home for the second week in a row, and I think that got them winning this one 28-21.
All right, so folks, we got the scores. Asheebo's got Chatham Central, JM, Northwood winning this coming Friday. Seaforth taking a loss. So we will see next week. I've written it down, so I've got that information down, and we'll see how he does for next week's score. Also, before we go into the power rankings, let me take this out. And that way we get back in. And just want to thank folks for watching. I told Asheebo yesterday we had about 1,300 views this last week. Last year we were averaging about 1,000, so we're creeping up a little bit. Would love to go over 1,500. Taking a look at the feed right now. Also, I did not realize taking a look at the feed that it actually does um, auto captions, which is pretty neat. Jason, thanks for watching. Susan Burke, thanks for watching. Scotty, thanks for watching. Ken Parks, thanks for watching. Angelo Glover. Angelo, you're on here just about every week watching us. We're going to have to give you like a big fan appreciation pin or something. So thank you for watching. All right, folks, we appreciate you watching. Asheebo's doing a great job, but here's the second favorite thing, because everyone's favorite is the athlete of the week. However, we're going to get into everyone's second favorite thing, which is the power rankings. And I think folks will be happy. Some folks will be happy with this week's power rankings. So, Asheebo, what are your power rankings in football this week?
Yeah, power rankings really didn't change from last week to this week. At 4, still have Northwood. Like I said, still trying to find themselves offensively and trying to get that first win. Took some hard bumps in their first 2 games. Then at 3, I got Seaforth. Once again, still also looking for their first win and trying to just get over the hump now and get some things rolling. And then at 2, I have Chatham Central. Still just ran up against of course, like we said, got dominated against Jordan Matthews, but I think they still have a good chance of bouncing back this week with their schedule. And at 1, I have Jordan Matthews. Of course, the only 2-0 team in the county. They've been improving week by week, and I really believe in their guys. Like I said, Shakari Blue in the run game and on defense as well. He puts in work there, and defensively as a team, they had a lot of sacks in that game. They have guys that are really just getting after it. Just really proud to be wearing the Jets uniform and flying around as we've seen the past 2 weeks. So, yeah, that's the power rankings. Not much has changed from last week to this week, and we'll see. We don't have a county matchup this week that could shake some things up, but maybe with different results. Like we said, C4 going to Princeton. I think if they pull out a win, that'll be really good for them as well in these power rankings. Northwood getting a win as well and doing it in a convincing fashion, I think will do pretty well for them. So we might see a little bit of shakeup depending on what happens tomorrow night. But like we said, we just report on what happens on the field, and then we go from there. So we'll see how the county teams do tomorrow.
Yeah, Asheebo and I talked about the power rankings before, and I would totally agree with it. Congratulations to Coach Kermit and the JM folks. What's interesting is when we had the media event, uh, Coach Kermit said this was what he was hoping to see this year, and it's really nice to see the JM program doing well. And you said if they win this Friday, that's going to be the first time since when that they've had 3 wins in a row.
3-0 since first time they'll be 3-0 since 2011.
2011. So what? 14 years. So hey, JM. Asheebo, we'll talk later about which games we'll be covering, but that's one thing to watch out for. Before we go on to the rest of the agenda, I left off an item. As some of you may be aware, I did some videos, and actually, when Asheebo and I were out covering the soccer, which we're going to talk about, the soccer game between Seaforth and Northwood yesterday, I noticed that the Seaforth girls also have a team, and apparently JM has a team, and they're going to have girls flag football coming up. And what's the latest we've got on that, Asheebo?
Yeah, so just got a text from Chatham Central AD Kevin Park. So now we have more of an idea of what schools will have a girls flag football team. So it looks like Seaforth, Northwood, and Jordan Matthews we'll have some girls playing this fall. I think the season is supposed to start this month. A lot of the ADs I've talked to, they're still trying to figure out what leagues they're going to play in and how they're going to do it. But teams are forming. We had Northwood doing tryouts this week, and I think they'll have practices starting next week as well. Like you said, Seaforth was out there last night with some girls getting some work in. So yeah, I mean it's a growing sport. Like we said, around the state, around the country. There's college opportunities with it now, so we're going to see a lot more girls go to it. Show interest in it, and I'm excited to see how it works out, especially once it becomes a sanctioned sport. I'm sure pretty soon with the North Carolina High School Athletic Association. That'll be interesting as well, as the girls could finally compete for state championships and things like that. So, yeah, it's pretty exciting that is booming here in the county.
Yeah, and Asheebo will have a story coming out on later on in several weeks about he's going to take a county-wide look at girls flag football. I did when I was out at Northwood the other day and watched them try out and practice. Coach Whitaker, some of you folks may know Coach Whitaker. He was out there on the field. They've got 20 players, so I think they've got enough players to be able to play. And the other thing too is I noticed that out of their 20 players, 5 of them are currently basketball players. And I think when we talked with Jared yesterday, the AD at Seaforth, he mentioned that some of the girls that were participating in other sports are giving flag football a try. And I will say that what I saw, there are some athletic young ladies out there who are going to be capable of doing a good job. They just need to learn the plays and be able to execute. So, yes, we'll have more information out there. It's not a sanctioned sport. It's not NC, North Carolina High School Athletic Association sanctioned sport. But if it keeps going the way it's going, it probably will be. All right. I mentioned Asheebo and I were out at Seaforth yesterday. So let's get into soccer. What's going on in soccer, Asheebo?
Yeah, we can start with that game. Like I said, you and I were out there. Northwood at Seaforth. Tight battle between, of course, the two rivals. And Seaforth, well, they end up being in a tie, 1-1 at the end. It was scoreless through the first half and then scoreless through most of the second half. And then we had Seaforth finally break the ice with Victor Bullock. He kicked in the go-ahead goal after a corner kick and it bounced around a few players. He corralled it, kicked it in from close range, and that was with 10 minutes, 14 seconds left in the second half. So from there, it looked like Seaforth was going to take it. I think it was like 7 minutes until Northwood. They finally got an opportunity. They had a free kick from Aiden Swain, and he kicked it high up in the air. And the freshman, Johnny Santiago, he bounced it off his chest right in front of the goalie, got it off his foot, and kicked it in for the tying score. And so, that was it for the scores that counted. Now, further at the end of the second half, it was like 12 seconds left. Seaforth had just a little bit of time to get the ball. I would say probably about 60, 65, maybe even 70 yards down the field, and they executed it. Andreas Trinado, he kicked in the goal at the buzzer that would have given, of course, Seaforth a walk-off win, but the rest determined it was just a second too late. So, of course, the game ended in a 1-1 tie. But talking to both teams, both coaches at the end of the game, they're really proud of how their team showed up, especially Northwood. They moved to 2-1-2 on the season. Seaforth fell to 2-3-1. But if Seaforth, they're trying to transition to new leadership under Euro Colina, who's taking over for Giovanni Viana this season. And Northwood is just trying to improve on last year. They lost some pretty good seniors last year and the injuries affected their season last year as well. This year they have some really exciting freshmen. Like I said, Johnny Santiago, a guy that was always down the field, making some exciting plays in the open field. Just couldn't get some of the other ones to go, which if he scored those, I think Northwood could win this one by 2 or 3 scores. But what I noticed with both teams is they just did a really good job of running back, getting contact on those breakout runs and making it hard for each other to really just get goals to go. I think it was one play specifically by a Northwood player. I think it was Danny Montiel Mora, Seaforth's forgot his name. I think his name is Ryan. He had a wide open look, and here goes Moore just running down the field, runs into him right when the ball is kicked, and he of course knocked the ball as well. So it was just that type of atmosphere. The guys were getting a little bit physical. Just a good rivalry game last night, and yeah, it was very entertaining. Fortunately, nobody came out with the win, but we'll see how their seasons play out for the rest of the year.
We talked about this a little bit yesterday at the game. I thought both teams played well. I thought the goalies played well. They made some fantastic stops. I was getting ready to leave because I had to. My sister was in town heading out for dinner, and I saw where the Northwood goalie made a great stop, and I think he prevented the ball from scoring by it hit up against his head. So he put his whole body into it. But the thing we talked about was. What do you see when JM comes up against Northwood? Because they're going to play twice in this season, and you've seen both teams play, and they both have their strengths and weaknesses. So when JM comes up against Northwood sometime later on in the season, what do you see as the potential? I mean, it's going to be a good game, but what do you see as going on with that game between Northwood and Seaforth?
Yeah. So, but before we get into that, I know JM they're starting to roll. They had a 5-0 win over Central Davidson last night as well. So 2 in a row for them, and they're back to 500. But yeah, I think the thing with JM that kind of separates them from the rest of the teams in the county over the past couple of years, and even this season, for what I've seen, is just the speed they have and multiple guys that can run down the field and be dangerous in the open space. You know, Jordan Matthews, like we said last week, Umberto Vargas, he had the hat trick last week in their win over Providence Grove. And in that one, they exploded for 10 goals. So that's the thing you have to worry about. It's just their efficiency offensively and the speed they have. I think Northwood with Jordan Matthews, I like their defensive play. And like you said, they put that on display a lot last night. Guys just willing to run back as well. Really good communication. And they have a really good goalie as well. They had a lot of great saves last night. So I think with Northwood and Jordan Matthews, I would say that Jordan Matthews is probably a little better right now. And Northwood, and that's not to say Northwood's not a good team. I think Northwood has a chance to do some pretty good things this season, have a winning season, and build on this because they have some freshmen that are not afraid, even though they might be small in stature and not physically built like the older guys that Seaforth had or that Jordan Matthews will have this season. They're not afraid to go in there and get dirty, go face to face with these guys and get physical as well. So I think Northwood could hold their own against Jordan Matthews, but I think the Jets are just a little better this year from what I've seen.
All right, we didn't do this last week, but unofficial power rankings in soccer. Are you seeing JM and then what Northwood Seaforth and then Central, or what's your feelings?
Yeah, I would say JM, Northwood, Seaforth, and then Woods and Chatham Charter. Woods and Chatham Charter also started their seasons this week. And just run down those scores. East Wake Academy beat Woods 4-2, and then Chatham Charter's 0-2 after losses to Phoenix Academy and Cornerstone Charter. So, yeah, Jordan Matthews, Northwood, and Seaforth definitely there at the top. If we did power rankings for soccer, and like I said, Jordan Matthews just right now they're starting to roll. I will say that 2 wins in a row, back to 300, 2 big wins too with that. So we'll see if they can keep that up. And that's the thing with Jordan Matthews the past couple of years too. They've always kind of had like a slower start. I know sometimes Coach Paul Carlos will schedule a really good team and they'll take some bumps early on, but then once they hit in the conference play or middle of the season, they'll go on a nice run with some pretty dominant wins. So maybe that might be what's in the making now with this team. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. Coach Kudros has that tendency to get his team going. That by the time playoffs start, they're in a pretty strong position. All right, let's talk volleyball. A lot going on there. There's a game tonight. There was a game yesterday. So, what's the scoop on volleyball here in Chatham County?
Yeah, starting with Seaforth, they've been playing a line of really good teams here in the state. Some of the best teams in the state this week. So they start the week with a conference game against Durham School of the Arts. And in that one, Naomi Stevenson led them with 15 kills. Josie Valgas, 13 kills. Abigail Valgas, 26 assists and a 3-0 win in that one. Also noteworthy with Seaford is they are playing without Allie Forbes for the foreseeable future. She had an injury in her foot, so they will be without her for some time. They were without her for a couple of games last week as well. So that's going to be something to watch with Seaforth, but hasn't affected them too bad because last night they played Aiden Grifton, like we said, one of the best teams in the state, and won that one 3-1. Naomi Stevenson had 27 kills in that one. Abigail Valgus 43 assists. And then in the rest of the county, we have Southeast Alabama beat Northwood 3-0. Union Pines, you guys remember Kara Rosa from Seaford. She's at Union Pines. They played Jordan Matthews earlier this week as well, won that one 3-0. And then Chatham Central, they got their second conference win with a 3-0 win over College Prep and Leadership Academy. They're now 2-0 in their conference, I think in second place behind Bishop McGinnis. So that's something to watch with Chatham Central as they battle for first place spot in their conference, the Greater Triad 1A, 2A. And then Woods Charter, they're not playing. They haven't played yet this week. Chatham Charter did, though. They lost to Clever Garden 3-0. Clever Garden, first place in the Central Tar Heel 1A conference. And Woods, also in the Central Tar Heel 1A conference, second place for them. They will, after playing Central Carolina tonight, they will be playing them at home tonight. They will be playing Clever Garden School for what should be a 1-2 conference showdown next Tuesday. And I think I'll make my way out to Chapel Hill for that one.
All right. That wraps it up for volleyball. Unofficial power rankings for volleyball. I don't think they probably changed too much from last week, or have they changed from last week?
No, they probably haven't too much changed. Oh, also too with volleyball tonight, I will be at C4 for the game against Cardinal Gibbons. Another big game. Last year, Cardinal Gibbons beat C4 at Cardinal Gibbons, so we'll see how the rematch goes this year. But yeah, I think I'll have C4 definitely number one, even without Allie Forbes. They still have plenty of talent with Naomi Stevenson coming into her own. The freshman, they have Valgus, of course, TCU commit, who's stepping up in the hitting position, and of course her sister Abigail, who's been a really great setter, putting up some big numbers this year for them. And then under them, I think I'll have Woods Charter, of course, a really good team always in the Central Tar Heel 1A conference, one of the best teams in 1A, and yeah, they've continued to kind of take care of business with everyone in front of them this season. And then I will have Chatham Central. I think I like what Chatham Central is doing in their conference and what they've been able to accomplish so far this season. They're back on the come up after a little bit of a rough start to start the year, but they're picking up some wins here, picking up some steam. And then I put Jordan Matthews right under them, and then Chatham Charter to round it out.
Yep, that sounds about right. Definitely have to agree. Yeah, you mentioned you're going to be at Seaforth. I may run over there and try to get half of that game and see if I can't run over to Woods. I haven't shot a Woods home volleyball game yet, but folks, a lot going on. Look, man, there's a whole lot going on in Chatham County sports. All right. Next, do you want to talk about golf or tennis or track and field?
Yeah, I don't have too many updates on those. And usually I get the updates on those in the paper. I did get a couple of tennis scores from earlier this week. We had South Stokes beating Chatham Central 5-4. And Chatham Charter, always a great girls tennis program down there in Siler City. They've got the third win in a row with a 6-3 win over Clever Garden School. So they're 3-0 this season, and they're continuing to roll as well. 3 big wins, by the way, for Chatham Charter. So we'll see if they can keep that success up throughout the rest of the season and into the playoffs. But yeah, cross country. I don't think we had that many cross country meets going on last week. So we should have more this week and in the coming weeks as more teams get going on the trails. And we'll have those updates in the Fall Sports Roundup and the Chatham News and Record. Same thing for golf as well, as more of the conference meets start to go on through September. So, yep, that's pretty much all we've had from last week leading up to now in Chatham County sports.
All right, folks. One of the reasons we do this live stream on Thursdays is the fact that the Chatham News and Record newspaper comes out. The print version comes out on Thursday, and Asheebo's got a whole bunch of material in it. Actually, if you missed last week's paper, it was pretty neat because had some coverage on the fact that Siler City Rex and Park is having a was it flag football and tackle football rec league going on there, and there seems to be a lot of excitement going there because as Asheebo and I and there's a whole bunch of the folks in the county realize and are not would love to see middle school football in this county. It's not happening, so a lot of it's going to depend on the rec league. So Asheebo, what are your stories in the Chatham News and Record today that folks can pick up?
Yeah, so of course we have we got two football stories this week because we had a Thursday game. So we can read more about Asheboro and Northwood, and of course Jordan Matthews at Chatham Central. And then we have our Week 3 football preview. If you want to read more about the matchups for tomorrow, and then we have our fall sports roundup. We had a story on Jordan Matthews soccer playing against Providence Grove. More on that as well. The 10-1 win there. And we also had a story on, if you guys remember, Jalen McAfee Marion, who played basketball at Northwood. I think it was class of 2020. He is recently signed to Griffith College, Anna in Ireland, Dublin, Ireland. And he's going to be playing with them. It's a professional team that plays in the Super League, which is the top league in Ireland. So he's going to be playing his pro career starting in early October. He's over there now. Just got over there late August, I think, and just getting acclimated with practices and things here in the beginning of September. So you can read more about his story and his journey to the pros. And another Charger taking on the pros, and also too Aaron Ross, who was also on the same teams as McAfee Marion at Northwood. He's playing pro basketball in Columbia as well. So pretty exciting things for the Northwood basketball alumni. They're taking their talents overseas to the NBA. So once again, congrats to Northwood coach Matt Brown. He coached all of these guys, and his ability to push these guys to where they want to go with basketball has been pretty cool to see over the past couple of years.
Yeah, that's another reason to pick up the paper because I don't think you've seen a lot of coverage in the Chatham News and Record previously about student athletes here from Chatham County, what they do once they go off to college or after they've gone through college. So definitely worth picking up the paper this week. And of course, we get to, and I'm serious, everyone's favorite, who is Asheebo's athlete of the week?
Yeah, athlete of the week this week is Kamari Hadley from the Jordan Matthews football team, the quarterback who was only played 2 games at the position, but has done pretty well for the Jets so far, leading them to a 2-0 record. In the game against Chatham Central on Friday, he completed 12 passes for 183 yards and 5 touchdowns. Like we said, he also rushed for 84 yards, including a 48-yard touchdown run in the second quarter. Like we said, second game for him, man. He's been improving week by week, improving, of course, with his decision-making as a runner and definitely as a passer. We saw him do a couple of things, a couple of versatile things as a passer, right? Wide receiver screens, and then also looking downfield for some players in the end zone. So as long as he keeps improving, team keeps improving week by week, I think we should be in for some more good football from Jordan Matthews this season.
All right. That pretty much, again, I just had a text come in. Kamari, congratulations. I think it was kind of at the beginning of the season, folks weren't quite sure how it's going to work out, but it's working out great so far. So that's good to see. All right. Reminder, Asheebo is Asheebo R38 at X. And the other thing I just found out from him, he's also posting on Facebook. And he and I talked about it. The demographics I see on our Facebook posts, including this, is our demographics is most of the people who watch us or look at us at Facebook range between the age of 35, 54, which makes sense because it's the moms and dads out there. And then there's a jump to the 64 plus. So the grandparents are watching, and then we get the below 25s and above 54, 64. So Asheebo, is that on where is that on your own Facebook page, or you've got it set up on the Chatham News and Record Facebook page?
No, it's on my own Facebook page. So yeah, a lot of people in around the county already have me as friends on Facebook. So send me a friend request, or my account should be public. So yeah, you can just look me up, Asheebo Rojas. The one with me on there. The other one is probably my father with the island profile picture. So the one with my face on it, that's me. And I'll be posting more of the interviews that I do because I usually post them on X, but I understand not everyone is on X or can't see him. So and I posted the one from Jordan Matthews win over Chatham Central with Kamari, Nolan, and Jakari, and that one did pretty well. A lot of Jordan Matthews people saw it, shared it, liked it. So I'll be posting more when teams get big wins and we get a chance to talk to the student athletes.
Yeah, I've told the story before. Asheebo did an interview with one of the student athletes, and his grandma emailed me wanting to know how she could see it on X. And I said, well, you can ask your grandson how to be able to do that. But no, I know grandma out there and the parents, you can find it on Facebook. You don't have to find it on X if you don't want to. But the neat thing about X is when Asheebo's out at an event, he'll usually be texting out on his X account live. All right, let's wrap this up. You're planning to be where next several days?
Yeah, tomorrow night, like I said, I'll be at Jordan Matthews. I think that's their first home game. Yeah, first home game for football against North Stokes. So I'll be checking that one out. And then next Tuesday, like I said, I was looking ahead a little bit, and I think I'll make the trip to Chapel Hill for Woods Charter volleyball against Clever Garden School. Big conference game for that one. So just a little bit of an idea of where I'll be for the next few days.
All right, and as I mentioned, probably hopefully will be at Seaforth because I also want to grab some pictures and videos of the girls' flag football team out there practicing or trying out, and then maybe I can make it over to Woods and get some of that. We'll see how the Seaforth game goes, and I will probably be at the Northwood game tomorrow because it's going to be the first home game I'm going to cover. Plus, I want to try out one of those Charger dogs, or Cameron Vernon's come up with some hot dog that he claims is the best. It's got spaghetti and provolone sauce on it. So I have no idea what it's going to be like. I think those are $5. I'll consider it a contribution to the Booster Club in Northwood and maybe try out one of those dogs. Folks, thank you so much for watching. Love the fact that we've got over 1,300 views this last week. Most of you do not watch this live, which is fine. A lot of you will watch it over through the weekend. Let your family and friends know about that. There's a lot of folks that say, hey, I want to know more about Chatham County sports. Pick up a darn paper on Thursday. And if you want, watch this. It's easy to get around and it's on Facebook. So even your grandma can watch it on Facebook. All right, folks, that's it. Asheebo, you got anything else to say before we wrap it up?
Nope. I think that's everything. Everything we've got. Like I said, we've been caught up with sports all the way from last week and to the Labor Day weekend to now. So yeah, we just got week 3 football tomorrow. Big volleyball game tonight. Like we said, with Seaforth and Cardinal Gibbon. So we'll get those stories in the paper for next week and then talk about them some more with the next stream.
All right, folks. And if you see Asheebo out there, tell him he's doing a nice job because he is doing a nice job. And we will see you back here next Thursday at noontime.